The night he screamed, "Where the hell were you?" still burned in my memory like a cigarette pressed too hard against skin. It was New Year's Eve, the kind of cold that froze breath in midair, the kind that made the stars tremble like distant warning lights. I remember standing in the doorway holding two grocery bags, snow melting down my sleeves, while my husband Nate stood in the middle of our living room, face red, fists clenched, his family watching like hungry spectators. "You hear me?" he barked again. "Everybody's been waiting for an hour, and you can't even set the damn table?" I didn't answer, not because I didn't want to, but because I'd learned long ago that anything I said would be turned into another accusation. His mother glared at me. His sister rolled her eyes. His father smirked, sipping bourbon like this scene was entertainment. I gently set down the paper bags and wiped melted snow off my cheek, pretending it was only water, not the humiliation stinging beneath it. What Nate didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the version of me standing quietly in that doorway wasn't the same woman he married. That version had died years ago, the day my reputation was ruined, my career destroyed, my name dragged through every corner of our small town. And the people responsible sat right there in that room, unaware that I had returned not just as his wife, but as the one person who could finally expose them. Years ago, I had been a rising journalist, one of the promising young reporters in Chicago with a reputation for uncovering corruption. I had worked hard, fought harder, and built my name with integrity. And then almost overnight, my world collapsed. Someone leaked false documents under my name, tying me to fabricated bribes, fake interviews, and a story that cost a senator his career. My employer fired me publicly. My friends vanished. My father died from the stress of seeing our family name dragged through legal hell. And worst of all, I learned the betrayal came from someone inside my own circle. Someone close enough to know my habits, my files, my passwords, someone who wanted me gone. I ran. I left the city. I changed everything, my job, my appearance, my trajectory. And then, years later, I met Nate. Kind, charming, apologetically handsome. But charm can be a mask, and sometimes masks hide monsters. Tonight, however, the monster had no idea what I'd set in motion. As his rant faded into the tension-heavy room, I finally spoke. Not to him, never to him, but to myself. "It's almost midnight," I whispered, and carried the grocery bags to the kitchen. They thought I was retreating. They thought I was folding back into silence like I always did. But what they didn't know was that inside those bags wasn't food. It was the final piece of a puzzle I'd been assembling for 3 years, the proof of who destroyed my life, the evidence linking the conspiracy, the recordings that showed just how deep the manipulation went, and every path led to this house. Nate followed me into the kitchen. "Don't walk away from me," he said. "You should be thanking me. I took you in when no one else would." There it was, the line that gave away everything. The truth he didn't realize he was admitting. The truth I had suspected. He hadn't taken me in out of kindness. He'd done it to control me, to silence me, to keep me close enough to monitor. I calmly removed the flash drive hidden inside one of the bags. "I brought something for tonight," I said. "Something your family should see." From the doorway, his mother snapped, "If it's an apology, we don't want it." "Oh," I said, turning slowly toward them. "It's not an apology." Nate froze, sensing something shift. "What did you do?" I walked past him and entered the living room. The TV screen reflected in the windows, a dark mirror waiting for truth. "I think it's time we watch a different countdown," I said softly. His father scoffed. "We're not watching your nonsense." "You'll want to," I replied. "Trust me." I plugged in the flash drive. The screen lit up, and for the first time all night, the room fell completely silent. Audio logs, phone calls, emails, bank transfers, all connecting the conspiracy that ruined my career. To one person, his sister, Rebecca, her face drained of color instantly. 3 years earlier, she had worked for the senator's opposition campaign. She needed a scandal, a big one. I was the perfect target, ambitious, respected, inconveniently positioned near sensitive political stories. All she needed was someone inside my life to give her access. And she had found him. Nate. I watched the recognition dawn on his face, the realization that the secrets he thought were buried had claws. And they had finally found the surface. His voice cracked. You knew? I met his eyes for the first time that night. Not at first, but the moment I noticed you always knew things before I told you. The moment your sister accidentally mentioned files only I had access to. The moment your mother slipped and said something she shouldn't have known. Yes. I started putting it together. His mother stood up abruptly. This is fake. All of this. Funny, I said. That's exactly what your daughter said in her recorded call. The audio played. Her voice filled the room, angry, arrogant, gloating, bragging about how easy it had been to leak the documents, laughing about how the little journalist would never recover, boasting about how marrying me to Nate would keep me quiet forever. Nate collapsed onto the couch, head in his hands. His father muttered curses under his breath. His mother stared blankly at the screen. Rebecca trembled like someone who finally saw the end of the road she'd been sprinting down. I continued. Tonight isn't about revenge. Not the kind you think. This is about truth. About the life you stole. About who I really am. You're nothing. Rebecca spat through tears. Your life was over the moment my life, I interrupted, was paused, not ended. I let the silence stretch. Every breath in the room felt tight. Every eye fixed on me. I rebuilt myself, I said. Piece by piece. I found work under a different name. I built connections again, real ones. I found people who believed in justice, including someone who had access to private political archives, someone who helped me track the money trail that exposed everything. Nate's head snapped up. Who? A name I had held close to my heart rose silently in my mind. A name that made my chest tighten with warmth and dread. Evan, the man I'd met while working under a new identity. The one who saw through my walls. The one who listened. Who understood the weight of betrayal. Who liked me before he knew my past. Who comforted me on nights I couldn't breathe. Who cared in a way that terrified me. The man who turned out to be Rebecca's former fiancé. The realization had broken something in me when I first discovered it. But I had chosen to trust him. And he had chosen to help me. I didn't do this alone, I said quietly. Just then, a soft knock came at the door. The clock hit 11:57, 3 minutes to midnight. Nate looked at the door, then at me. You didn't. I did. The door opened. Evan stepped inside. Cold air followed him like an omen. His jaw clenched as he saw Rebecca. She paled. You betrayed her, he said, voice low. And you used me to do it. Nate sprang up. You're not welcome in this house. Evan ignored him completely and came to stand beside me. Are you ready? I nodded. This was the moment. The moment I had been working toward for years. The moment my past finally collided with my present. I reached into my coat and pulled out the small envelope, the final document. The one that tied all the evidence together in a legal, undeniable chain. I placed it on the coffee table. This, I said, is going to the authorities at midnight. Rebecca lunged forward. No, you can't. Evan stepped between us. Don't. Nate grabbed my arm. You can't destroy us like this. I gently removed his hand. I'm not destroying anything. I'm revealing what was already broken. The clock hit 11:59. Rebecca screamed. His mother begged. His father cursed. Nate cried, really cried for the first time since I'd known him. But I felt nothing except clarity. When the clock struck midnight, fireworks burst outside, bright, violent, beautiful. Inside, everything fell apart. I picked up the envelope and headed for the door. Evan opened it for me, snow blowing in, cold and fresh and honest, before stepping out. I looked back one last time. You once said you took me in when no one else would. I told Nate. But the truth is, I survived despite you, not because of you. He whispered. Please, don't go. I already left, I said softly. Years ago. I walked outside. Evan followed, quietly closing the door behind us. The fireworks reflected off the snow, painting the night in colors I hadn't felt in years. He looked at me, eyes soft. It's done. I exhaled, the breath trembling. Not entirely, but I'm finally free. We stood there in the frozen quiet. The kind that only comes after truth has been released into the world like a storm. Do you regret choosing justice? He asked. I shook my head. No, the only thing left to choose now is what comes next. He reached for my hand, slow, intentional, gentle. A connection that felt like a beginning instead of an ending. And for the first time in years, I let myself feel hope. Real hope. Hope that wasn't built on lies, fear, or survival. Just truth. And the possibility of something better. The night wasn't quiet anymore, not inside me. Inside me, something new had begun. Maybe that's what New Year's Eve is really about. Not the countdown itself, but the courage to step into whatever waits after the final second. And for me, that second had finally come.